Good morning, everybody. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's fill your cups, grab a pen and paper for the roundtable at the end of the show, and let's do this. Good morning. We're going to start out talking about the Republican convention. So I made a cup for it. I really don't care, do you? You got to forgive me. I was getting ready for the show, and I was, trimming the hair off the top of my ear, and I nicked my ear this morning. So yeah, forgive me. Had to put a little bandage on, Yeah. Oh my God. This Republican convention is just freaking hilarious. Just hilarious. I mean, it's the worst convention I have ever seen. It really is, folks. I mean, it's just the two highlights so far have been, other than Trump's idiotic oversized bandage because of the nick on his ear, has been a porn star and a fat dog. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. Hey, ET, thanks for coming out the gate with it. I appreciate the support, my brother. Yeah, it's almost over, folks. We're on day 3. It's almost over. It is. I'm not even. Are you watching? I'm not watching. I normally, if there was a convention, even the Republican convention, I would watch. I would. It would be news. There would be things that were being said, done. But this has been so predictable. So everything that we already knew was going to happen, I'm not even watching, folks. And it's my job. It's my job. Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding. Thanks, Marcia. Marcia's the one that sent me the trolls, by the way, or the gnomes, by the way. I love gnomes. I do. I love gnomes. And she was kind enough to. You remember during the holidays, I had some gnome cups for the holidays. She was kind enough to send me that. I love those gnomes. They'll be with us every show. But yeah, if you're not aware why I had a maxi pad taped to the side of my head this morning, yeah, it was this. It was this. Like I said, everything we expected. Trump was a gigantic drama queen. We knew he was going to milk this. He comes out with this massive bandage because he's got a little widow nick on his ear. He's got a widow nick on his ear. But yeah, I mean, it's been completely and utterly predictable. You had DeSantis and Nikki Haley bend the knee. Nikki Haley came out and gave a speech, of course, But that I got to tell you, folks, that does not move the Nikki Haley voter into the Donald Trump column. It really doesn't. Just to touch on Nikki Haley a little bit, there's a psychological op going on right now that the Republicans are running, several of them actually. But one of them that's going on is the trying to get people emotionally invested in getting our presidential candidate with almost 4,000 delegates to drop out of the race, who's actually moving up in the polls. That's another thing about this, by the way. hate to stop what I'm saying, just change directions again. But the polling during your convention, you're supposed to get a bump. You're supposed to get a bump. Everybody predicted that Trump and the Republican generic ballot would just take a bump. It hasn't. It hasn't. Biden is still leading by a couple points. And if Biden is leading in the polls at a couple points, because Democrats we always overperform the polls. If the polls say it's going to be a dead even race, that means the Democrats leading by 5 points. It's just the way it's been over the last several. Polling's just broken, folks. It's just broken. Oh, my goodness. Glad you're here, David Tylers is just stopping in for an input of on this insanity. I wish it was insanity. I really do wish it was insanity, but it's not. Finish up what we're talking about, Nikki Haley. There is a thing that Republicans do, and you saw it. I bring up the Bernie Bros a lot. If they can get you emotionally invested in something and you don't get it, it's a turnoff. It causes some people to not show up. So this whole get Biden to drop out thing, the right-wing troll farms have been blazing and blaring about it. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Democratic voters to get emotionally invested in saying, well, we want another candidate. We want Joe Biden to drop out. And knowing it's not going to happen. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Biden's our guy. We're riding with Biden. But when they don't get their way, they know it'll be disheartening to some people. They just do. The folks that went to the polls and voted for Nikki Haley are emotionally invested in not voting for Donald Trump. It wasn't about being Nikki Haley sycophants. These were not people that were like, oh my God, Nikki Haley is the next coming and this. No, that's not what they cast those votes for. You're talking about up to 20% of the Republican Party are just never Trumpers. And Nikki Haley's name just happened to be the name that they could input to express that. It does not matter that Nikki Haley came to the convention and bent the knee to Donald Trump. That will not sway them in the slightest. It will not. But it was predictable. I mean, everything about this convention is predictable. All of us politicos were talking about J.D. Vance, and actually hoping it was J.D. Vance because we're going to talk a little bit about why he's a problem for them already. And they're already just subtly distancing themselves from J.D. Vance because there's been a recoil among their core about J.D. Vance, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Oh man, I hope your coffee's as good as mine. But this has been so boring that the two highlights have been this. This is Jim Justice with his dog. This is his prop. He carries this bulldog around with him everywhere he goes to try to soften his image because he's just a horrific human being. Jim Justice is the governor of West Virginia. He's everything that you would think a horrible Republican is. He is that on steroids. So he carries this dog around. The dog's name is Baby Dog, this fat bulldog around to try to soften his image and endear him to people. And Baby Dog made an appearance at the convention, and that was the highlight. That was the highlight from the day. You know your convention is really not going well when the thing that's driving social media is a dog that showed up. That's not good. That's just not good. This is the other thing that's going on. I love how informed you folks are and how aware you folks are. We're not going to cover this today, but yeah, Joe had a great speech at the NAACP. That's the other thing that's in the media. During the Republican convention, I mean, wow, I can't stress it to you enough, folks. A convention should normally dominate the news cycle. It should be, when it's done right, it's what dominates the news cycle, because there's breaking news, breaking stories, talking about policy, talking about, excitement. And of course the media will, try to make it about drama. And yeah, Martha Selena's spot on. You know where I'm going with this. The other thing that was big news was porn at the convention. At these Republican conventions, it is so sad. I don't understand self-hating gay Republicans. I don't. But Grindr had to boost their servers in the Milwaukee area during the convention, because this happens every time there's a Republican convention. And they've had people posting on the internet about Grindr going down in Milwaukee because of the traffic. But yeah, it's just things that you don't normally want associated with your convention. Case in point, the OnlyFans porn star, Amber Rose. And I know what you're going to say. Who's Amber Rose? I'm going to give you a bit of advice. Do not Google Amber Rose OnlyFans. Do not Google that. That's going to get you porn. This is Amber Rose. She was the big story on day one of the convention. I mean, if this is what's driving the news cycle, you're screwed. You are screwed. Rich, thanks for the support, my friend. Maggots Eat Their Own. Thank you, and the community, for the breakdown on the news here. That's actually amazingly, that's actually where the show's going today. They are eating their own, but not this. Wait for it. But this is Amber Rose. She actually spoke at the convention because bigots think that a black entertainer who also happens to do OnlyFans porn would be the draw for them to the black community. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Let me say that again. The bigots in the Republican Party thought, well, let's get somebody that appeals to black voters. I know. Amber Rose. I mean, if we want to reach out to minorities, Hispanics, blacks, Amber Rose, right? And they have no idea how bigoted that is. They have no idea how bigoted that is. And I got to tell you, Amber Rose is really not doing well. This is how it started. This is how it started. This is the same person. This is Amber Rose. I mean, this is how it started. And this is how it's going. You know, folks, I don't care. By the way, Bash and Slash, those are her kids, are Sebastian and Slash. Those are her kids' names. That tattoo on her forehead, Bash and Slash. But I don't care if you got a tattoo. I don't care if ink is your thing. I don't care. I don't care if ink is your thing. That you do you, boo boo. I don't judge people just because they have ink. But there is something I do know. A face tattoo is a red flag. If you're getting a face tattoo, things are not going well for you. Things are not going well for you. But anyways, yeah, I mean, these are the highlights. This is what's going on with the Republican Party. You are supposed to get a bump in the polls. And forgive me, folks, this is Texas, still from the storms. I still don't have a 5G network up and running here. So yeah, if we have an internet issue or something, stick with me. But yeah, exactly, Sherry Foster. Talk about political cannibals. It gets worse. It gets worse, folks. It does. I mean, those have been the highlights. Now, if they had been Democrats, this would have been the highlights. This is J.D. Vance with his wife, Usha. This would have been a massive driving story if they were Democrats. If they were Democrats. But it's not for Republicans. It's not. Who's Usha Vance? Well, let me tell you, Usha Vance is a highly successful lawyer. Yale grad, Cambridge grad. She's clerked for Chief Justice John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh. Super successful. You don't even know who she is. She's not even speaking at the convention. She's not on the she is not on the speakers list at the convention. One second. Just to give you an idea of some of the people that are speaking at the convention. We've got Donald Jr., Eric Trump, Lara Trump, Kimberly Guilfoyle will be speaking at the convention. Let's see if I got that tab still up. One second. Yep, sure do. Yeah, Kimberly Guilfoyle will be speaking at the convention. Not Usha Vance. I mean, I want you to think about that. If this were the Democratic Party and the Democratic Convention, and the wife of the vice president was a super successful attorney, highly educated, you would hear about it, right? Especially if she were Hindu. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This has gone viral. This has gone viral. All over the internet. This is a wedding picture from J.D. Vance and Usha Vance. And the Republicans are having a real problem with this. Their core is not doing well with this. And it's not doing well because of stories like this that comes out of the Times of India, how Usha Chilakuri Vance's Hindu faith helped atheist J.D. Vance rediscover his Christianity. Yeah. J.D. Vance was an atheist. And I hate to disappoint the Times of India, but no, it was not Usha's Hindu faith that brought J.D. Vance back to Christianity. It's the Christian nationalism in the Republican Party. He decided to run as a Republican, so he's no longer an atheist, an self-avowed atheist that believes in science. He is now a Christian nationalist. That's one of the problems that they're really, really having, and it's really causing problems. Y'all remember Nick Fuentes? We talked about him. He is the white supremacist that the Republicans absolutely have embraced. We did a story on him previously where he was down here in Texas being hosted by Jonathan Strickland, the guy that runs Pale Horse Strategies, the PAC that is behind Evil Popeye. When during his impeachment, billionaire Tim Dunn sent a lot of money to back old Evil Popeye to help prevent him from being impeached. This is Tim Dunn. You remember, he's one of the, we talk about him often. He's one of the preacher billionaires that support. And by the way, we've got an expose coming about these preacher billionaires. They've formed a group that is focusing on basically making sure that you can't vote. That is their goal. We're going to talk about, that's another show. I don't want to get lost in it. But yeah, the PAC that funneled that money in hosted Nick Fuentes down here in Texas. Yeah, Ziklag. You people are so well informed. You people are so well informed. Ziklag. Yeah, we're going to have a whole segment on Ziklag. But yeah, they hosted him down here in Austin with, you see all the MAGA hats just greeting him, glad to see him. He is beloved by the Republican Party. The Republican core voter is very much into Nick Fuentes. He's the guy that at the end of his show, gay porn started streaming. You know, when I share something with you, like that picture that you just saw of Nick Fuentes, that's a screen share. The software that I broadcast with, that's a screen share. That's what's up on my screen. Well, at the end of Nick Fuentes' show, boop, and the screen share pops up gay porn. Nick Fuentes claims he was hacked by the Jews to make him look bad, but this isn't the first time that that's happened. Actually, he was doing a show one time, and one of the monitors would turn so that you could see it, and there was gay porn on the monitor. So yeah, Nick Fuentes is one of those conflicted, weirdo, bigot, white supremacists with the last name of Fuentes. I don't know how to wrap my head around that, but he is much beloved on the right in the Republican Party. This is Nick Fuentes' take on J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha.
J.D. Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him. Just
yeah, all J.D. Vance's kids have Indian names because, well, they're Indian.
Just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity? Like, there's a white genocide going on in the world. White people are being systematically replaced in America and Europe through immigration and to a much lesser extent due to intermarrying. This guy has a non-white wife and a kid named Vivek. This guy is going to be a defender of white identity? I don't think so. This guy's going to defend.
You get the point. You get the point. The racists, the Proud Boys, the Patriot Front, none of them are happy about this. And it's a problem. And I got to tell you, she's not going to speak. Think about this. And I want to talk about both sidism for a little bit. I just want to talk about both sidism for a little bit. You get people, and that gets you banned on my social media immediately. That's an immediate ejection out the airlock. Both sidism. We are not the same. I tell you people how great you are every single day because I deal with these people. They hosted this guy down here in Texas. Jonathan Strickland is a former GOP rep turned lobbyist who's hosting this guy down here on one of the biggest Republican donors' dime. This is who they are, folks. And you'll get people that'll come into your social media talking about, yeah, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party they're both owned by the same corporations. They're the same. Voting stupid. That's an automatic trip out the airlock on any of my social media. Bigotry, hate, all of that will get you banned, but both sidism will get you banned. We are not the same, folks. We're not even close. We are very, very different people. And it shows. I'm going to harp on this Usha thing for a little bit. Because of this. Project 2025 and Donald Trump have pledged to the bigots in the core of their party to end birthright citizenship. Now let's think about Usha for a second. Colleen Sarah, thank you. Thank you very much. Peter Thiel and Vance, yeah. Peter Thiel is a bigot that also donates. You people are incredibly well informed. Thank you. But I want to talk about this Usha Vance thing. I want you to think about the differences between Republicans and Democrats. I want you to think about if a vice presidential candidate had a wife that is a highly successful attorney, that is a Yale graduate, that went to Cambridge on the exclusive Bill Gates scholarship. She's a Gates grad, folks. They only take the best of the best for that scholarship. Bill Gates has a scholarship where he funds people to study at Cambridge. If she were a Democrat, we would be raving about her. She would have a prime speaking spot. But what do the Republicans do? Kimberly Guilfoyle, Amber Rose, Fat Dog. Donald Trump's going to be introduced by a guy that runs UFC, Dana White. One of the things is you're going to see go viral on that day is Dana White slapping the crap out of his wife. There's video of that out there. There's the domestic violence situation with him and his wife. There's video of it. This is the Republican convention. And the corporate media is going to be like, well, why aren't they getting what's happening here? Why aren't they getting a bump? Duh. And they think that this is going to appeal to people. Appreciate the support, Michael Thomas. I appreciate you. Thank you. But yeah, let me wrap this whole Usha thing up with this. The 2025 project and Donald Trump's pledge to end birthright citizenship. Folks, Usha Vance is what they call an anchor baby. Her parents were immigrants. She was born in America and raised in San Diego. She is as American as apple pie as far as you and I are concerned. But to the core of the Republican Party, the Nick Fuenteses, the folks that turned out on January 6th, the Proud Boys, and the 2A Praetorian Guard, all of these bigots, the Klan, all of these people. She's an anchor baby. She shouldn't even have citizenship. That was fantastic, E.T. That was fantastic. If you missed it, go back and watch Joe Biden's interview with Lester Holt. He did an amazing job. But folks, to these people, this is what this means. If they can go back and they can find something wrong with Usha Vance's parents' paperwork, because, it used to be, they understood that the immigration courts would run behind. It was really common to schedule a hearing after someone's visa was to expire. People would show up to court, immigration court, with expired visas because the system knew that it's slow, that it needs a revamp. You know what we Democrats are trying to do? We Democrats are working with what used to be Republicans. They're not even Republicans anymore, to fix this problem. But back in Usha Vance's parents' time, it was really common for your visas to expire before your court date came up. If her parents' paperwork has an I left undotted, a T left uncrossed, they are technically illegal immigrants, and she loses her citizenship. The vice president's wife, the guy that they want to make vice president, their vice presidential candidate, his wife, if they go back and they look at her parents' paperwork, because they were immigrants from India, and they find one I not dotted, one T not crossed, one hearing date scheduled after their visas expired, they are technically illegal immigrants. And she automatically loses her American citizenship. That's the Republicans. Yeah, Navarro, Steve, appreciate you, brother. Navarro is speaking at the RNC. Yeah, a criminal. They're going to take a criminal who's just getting out of jail, and they're going to rush him to the convention so that he can speak. But they're not going to celebrate Usha Vance. They're just not. Now, I want you to think about, I want to wrap this up with this. I want you to think about this. Say J.D. Vance isn't J.D. Vance. Say he's J.P. Mandel. Trump can't even get his damn name right. Say he's J.P. Mandel. He's a Democrat with democratic values. He isn't a guy that used to be an atheist that's now a Christian nationalist. He isn't the guy that rails against immigration, even though his wife is the daughter of immigrants. Say he's not that guy. Say he's a Democrat. Say he's somebody like our vice president, say he's like Kamala Harris. At our convention, we would be celebrating Usha Vance as a successful attorney, somebody who's brilliant, somebody that's Hindu. No, we are not the same. We are not the same. And that difference is what drives the bigots to the Republican Party. 100%. At their core, they are bigots. And they always will be. And if they cannot embrace their own vice presidential candidate's wife, if it's going viral all over social media because there's a wedding picture of them in a Hindu wedding ceremony, you are fundamentally flawed human beings. But yeah, that's the convention, folks. That's their convention. Compare that to what we do. Ours is going to be a celebration of democracy. Ours is going to be people talking about ideas, people talking about policy. It's going to be great speakers coming up, not Amber Rose, the porn star, because some moron in the Republican Party doesn't realize that's insulting to the BIPOC community to think that Amber Rose would be the draw to minorities. That and Fat Dog. Well, folks, we've got some issues down here in Texas. I want to show you something. You know, I try to show you kind of like behind the curtain. I showed you the click farms. I showed you, you know, what the Republicans. There's an op going on down here in Texas, and I want to bring you up to speed about something that's going on down here. Greg Abbott's in trouble. They have blown the response. Hurricane Beryl was a Category 1 hurricane. Okay, that's wind 75 to 95 miles an hour. It was not supposed to do what it has done. It hasn't. It wasn't. It just wasn't. 75 to 95 mile an hour winds are not supposed to knock out power to millions of people. It's just not supposed to happen. Your systems are supposed to be more robust than that. But not only did it knock out power, we are really, I mean, we're over a week later and there's still people without power. And people are really frustrated. And Greg Abbott comes back and he's like, well, I'm going to get some answers. I'm going to get some answers. And what happens when he gets back? Instead of actually fixing the problem, you know, there are stories coming out from linemen that are like, you know, we're sitting here. I clocked in at 6 a.m. Past noon, I'm still sitting in the parking lot in my truck waiting to be dispatched because CenterPoint Energy has just blown this. And then it started to come out on social media that CenterPoint is sitting there arguing with linemen over pay issues. I mean, these are standardized contracts. They're talking about reimbursements. They're talking about Houston has toll roads. They're not reimbursing the tolls when these guys drive down the toll roads to get to their jobs. They're not, you know, they're arguing over hotel reimbursement. They're arguing, and people are going home. Linemen are going home. So what do you do when you face a situation where your big corporate donor, CenterPoint Energy, is screwing the pooch on getting power back up? And you, as a governor, don't govern. We have no regulations. You have nobody from the government making sure that gets done, and it's blowing up in your face. What do you do if you're a Republican? Well, you blame the minorities, right? You blame the minorities. Yeah, John, it is. These guys are down there busting their asses. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's going on. This has gone absolutely viral. I'm going to play this video for you, then I'm just going to rip it apart.
Linemen were victimized while trying to restore the city's electricity. One man was arrested for threatening a lineman with a gun. KPRC2 reporter Corley Peel is speaking with that lineman tonight.
I spoke with that lineman on the phone. He didn't want to go on camera, but he says he's here from out of state, and he's been helping restore power in our neighborhoods ever since Beryl hit. He is okay, but police say those committing crimes against crews will face stronger penalties.
People of Houston, boy, I
Some out-of-state linemen speaking out on TikTok after receiving threats and people questioning their work as they restore power following Beryl.
We're all here and we're all working our hardest, but we can only do what Centerpoint asks us to do and when they tell us to go.
This video shows a man on 59 near Buffalo Speedway hitting a cruise truck with an object. Several law enforcement and local leaders came together addressing the violence against power crews.
We've had guys have guns pulled on them. We've had guys had rocks picked up and slung at them. I had a crew out in Sugar Land, D&T Power.
Okay, I want to stop for just a second and talk about just a couple of things. One, Sugar Land is like 90% white and Asian. And it's an above average community as far as wealth is concerned. These were not people of color. This is why you don't have video of people standing there with AK-47s watching people, linemen work, intimidating linemen. And I will guarantee you the reason they were there with their AK-47s in Sugar Land wasn't because they were trying to intimidate the linemen. It's because they took it upon themselves to be the security for the linemen, because there's all kinds of insane, bogus BS being spread all over social media. And they're putting blackface on it. Let me let this finish and we'll go back and talk about it.
We're working it out in Sugar Land. They had guys have AK-47 standing across the street from it, never pointed it at them, but menacing them.
Some linemen harassed while eating lunch, accused of not working, forcing crews to move staging areas.
They elected to move their operation from Barnett Stadium, which was very close to the work being done, all the way out to Barker Cypress because they felt threatened. Well, that slows down everything, and that meant more people were going to be without power even longer because of the distance that they're going to have to travel just to get back and do that kind of work.
This man, 38-year-old Anthony Leonard, now charged with...
Okay. That's where we're going to stop it. If the story is you're blowing it, what do? You get your local Sinclair right-wing, media outlet to run this kind of crap and put this man's face all over the media. Folks, they have been saying things that are just untrue. And when I tell you those guys in Sugar Land, which is white, it's like 90% white Asian, we're standing out there with AK-47s, and as the officer said, they never pointed them at them. I guarantee you they were there thinking that they were security, because all over social media you have false stories being put out. They have stories that said that 2 linemen were hospitalized because people handed them water, and it turns out that the water bottles were laced with fentanyl. That's a lie. That never happened. That never happened. And the video you see of the idiot hitting the power truck, folks, this happens every time. This is not new. This is not the people of Houston are broken people or worse than anywhere else or anything like that. Anytime you have a situation like this where power has been down, you get idiots that lose their damn minds. Hell, in the best of situations, I used to work on a road crew, folks, many years back, several decades ago. I used to work on a road crew. You've seen it. You get pissed off. Let me pause this for a second and just explain. Working on a road crew, I will tell you, I've been standing outside. I used to drive dump trucks, operate equipment, drive belly dumps, all of that stuff. I'd be standing there next to my dump truck in queue, ready to dump my load. You got a dozen guys out there working that are doing the work that used to take 60 plus men. And the reason that 12 guys can do the work that used to take 60 guys is because they queue material. It's a symphony. It's a symphony. And it's directed by a guy that's running everything. So you've got guys lined up in dump trucks and trucks with material. You've got another guy operating a maintainer or a blade. knocking it down and smoothing it out. And then you got a couple other guys sitting over here on rollers and a couple other guys sitting over here in water trucks. The blade knocks the material down, smooths it out. Water trucks run over it, spray it with water. Here come the rollers, and they roll over it. But every time that happens, the guys doing the other jobs stop. And I mean, this works, folks. It really works. You have guys with equipment. I mean, you get a dozen guys out there that will do the work that used to take 50, 60 men. But I promise you, and it's happened to me. I remember standing outside my dump truck waiting to dump my load, and somebody pulls up and makes derogatory comments about how we're not working. Because people are upset. People that don't understand how these things work are upset. And that's in good times, folks. That's just people that are inconvenient. They'll say the damnedest things to you. They will. They'll holler at you. They'll tell you you're lazy. Oh, my God. If you take a lunch break and they see you putting food in your mouth, oh, God, the stuff that people will say. Well, now imagine you've been without electricity for a week plus. These people are freaking hostile. They don't understand the system. They don't understand how it works. And to make it even worse, they're blowing it. They're blowing it. You have the linemen themselves that are saying, this is ridiculous. Peter Campbell, thank you for the support, man. When systems break down and the people elected to solve the problem drag their feet for politics, people are going to get upset and frustrated. Yes. But what my point is, people are going to get frustrated and upset in the best of times. When you have crews sitting in a staging area, they come in at 6 a.m. They're frustrated because it's past noon and they haven't been dispatched yet because there's nobody that has their crap wired straight in this recovery because we have no government making it happen. Add on top of it that it's hot, folks. It is hot. We've had somebody die down here from the heat. You're going to get people that are just dumb, like that idiot hitting that power truck. So what does the right do? Do they get mad at the Republicans? Do they try to fix it? No, they run disinformation. One of the things that's being spread all over the place is you've had a lineman attacked, put in a coma. They said 20 linemen were held hostage at gunpoint. That was completely made up. But we did have a lineman physically attacked down here. Jake, yeah, thank you. It is. It's a process, and that's the point. Thank you for the support, Matthew. I appreciate you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In the best of times, it's a process. It's inconvenient. People get pissed off. Then when you make it take a week later, you're going to get people that are pissed off and say and do stupid shit. But the right wing is taking every one of those examples and they're putting blackface on it. And they're saying the people of Houston deserve this. If you read the comments in that TikTok that I just shared you, it's a bunch of white bigots saying, well, go home. Screw them people. They don't appreciate you. Screw them. When it's millions of people that are not out there that are grateful for these folks working their ass off. But the right-wing media goes out, puts blackface on it, and shows the worst behavior that's just one or two people. And then right-wing media amplifies it with bogus stuff. They're telling people, they have literally told people that folks were drugged with fentanyl, that people, that gave them water bottles filled with fentanyl. You've got one station down there, KHAU, talking about the trucks just sitting in the damn parking lot, the Center Point parking lot. People are mad. People are angry. People are upset. They are. They're upset. But what is not true is that somebody gave linemen fentanyl-laced water. That is not true. No, linemen are not being threatened everywhere they go. And the stories out on social media are fake. KHAU down in Houston has done a great job debunking this stuff. No, 20 linemen aren't being held hostage at gunpoint. Fentanyl was not slipped into water bottles. It wasn't. Was a lineman attacked and put in the hospital? Yes. But I've told you, they take a kernel of truth and then they turn it into something awful. Remember, they put blackface on it. All the videos you saw were of black people. What you didn't see, that's the guy that put the lineman in the hospital. That's the guy. And the only place that it's been shown is KHOU down in Houston. Everywhere else on the internet, they put blackface on it, and then they tell you a guy was put in a coma. What they don't tell you, these guys knew each other. They were staying in the same hotel. It's another lineman. It's another lineman. It's not the people of Houston attacked the lineman that was working down there, which is what the right wing are selling. It was another lineman that he had a dispute with. It was two guys working together in the freaking heat that are frustrated, that got into a fist fight, and one guy got really hurt. But all over social media, it is them black folks down in Houston are uppity and unappreciative. Them linemen should go home, when really linemen are actually going home. They're frustrated. Centerpoint is disputing pay. They're disputing reimbursements. These people are pissed. It is hot. And I have to tell you, in the best of times, in the best of situations, when you do that job, you're going to get idiots that are just pissed off and say the damnedest things and do the damnedest things. So yeah, instead of rallying people together, pulling people together, let's get through this. Let's do the best we can. Let's put pressure on Centerpoint to get their shit wired straight. No, they do this. They do these right-wing ops to push misinformation, bigoted attacks of putting blackface on it, attacking the minority community, the other. This is what Republicans are. Jay Kavanaugh says, how about Elon Musk and his $45 million donations per month for a Trump super PAC Cybertruck order canceled? Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Can't pay taxes, but he's got $50 million a month to throw at Trump. Moving to Texas to screw the people of California. That's the other headline. He's moving all of his businesses here to Texas because, he doesn't pay taxes here in Texas. They don't even have a requirement for workman's comp. Only state in the union that does not have a requirement for workman's comp insurance. The Republicans here in Texas are repugnant. They're failures. They don't govern. They can't govern. And they just take flat out bribes from their billionaire frat boy club so that that billionaire frat boy club can do whatever they want. Greg Abbott just put a picture out of when the tree fell on him and he was paralyzed. Just to point out the hypocrisy. When that happened to Greg Abbott, he sued everybody but Jesus. He did. He sued the homeowner. He sued the insurance. I mean, he sued the tree trimming. He sued the state. He sued everybody but Jesus. And every year he gets a 6-figure payment from what happened from that tree falling on him and paralyzing him. Every year. Over $500,000. But you know what? He made it so you couldn't. He pushed legislation here in the state of Texas so that nobody can do what he did. Yeah, that's the kind of hypocrites they are. That's the kind of hypocrites they are. Instead of pulling us together, instead of saying, okay, look, we're going to get down there, we're going to get in Center Point's face, we're going to give them all the resources they need. No, they leave these jackholes out there just blowing this recovery on a grid that should have never collapsed in the first place. A Category 1 storm is not supposed to do this. This wasn't a Cat 4, a Cat 5. This was a Category 1. Mexico took the brunt of this. The Yucatan Peninsula was just devastated, folks. And the Mexican government is sending linemen to us. Yeah. Those people they demonize, they have sent linemen to Houston to help us. So yeah, we're not the same. We are not the same. Both sidism will get you blocked. Will get you blocked. You are better people. You are better people than Republicans are. You just are. Brian, I appreciate the support, my friend. The corporate press has made itself totally useless to the people of the world. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But build a wall. Yeah. We had a $30 billion surplus last year. See, my state runs off sales tax, property tax and sales tax. Because we had inflation, we had money come in because sales tax is based on sale price. We had money come in that the government wasn't expecting. So it wasn't allocated. It's gone. It's gone. They gave a rebate to people that paid property taxes. Well, they didn't cause the surplus. There was no spike in revenues from property taxes. It was a spike in the sales taxes. So instead of giving it back to everybody that paid it, they just gave it to the people that own property. And instead of spending it on our schools or our power grid or having anything to show for it, it's gone. They blew it on this BS, barbed wire, floating razor crap and prop. And I say prop because they're props. They're not even a real wall. They're sections of wall you can walk around. And they go and they film it up close so it looks like it's a wall. It's not. It's a segment of a wall. And that money's gone. Never to come back. It's gone. It's just gone. Inflation, Joe Biden's brought inflation down so that money won't be here next year. Won't be here next year. Where's the money, Greg? Thank you for the support, Mike. I appreciate you, my friend. Where's the money, Greg? $30 billion surplus gone with nothing to show for it. And a Category 1 hurricane decimates the 4th largest city in America. I just cannot rail about this enough. I can't. We are not the same. We are not the same. And another example of where we're not the same is what I want to close up with, and that's Bob Menendez. We are totally different people. This headline broke, and Democrats were like, yes. Yes. Bye-bye, Bob. Guilty on all 14 counts. Guilty. Guilty. He's in the find out phase. I hear reporting was that he was absolutely shocked. Cupped his hands over his mouth and just looked like he was going to cry. Good. You should. You're a crook. But Republicans would make him their presidential candidate. They would celebrate him being prosecuted. He's gonzo, baby. Democrats already told him, you will never run as a Democrat. Governor of New Jersey, the Democratic governor of New Jersey has told him to resign. Chuck Schumer has told him to resign. Everybody's told him to resign, but they've assured him you will not ever run for office again as a Democrat. But he's not resigning. He's refusing to resign. He's going to run as an independent, and it's worse. It's absolutely worse. He's going to appeal, and he might win. See, something's happened. Bob Menendez is going to appeal, and he might win his appeal. Because the U.S. Supreme Court just legalized bribery. And the type of bribes he took are covered by this. We are not the same. We are not the same. No, he's not gone for good. He's not gone for good. Clarence Thomas is not gone for good. Yeah, folks, Bob Menendez is going to appeal, and because of what the Supreme Court did, he might win. He might win. This is a damn joke. This is what the Republicans do to our country. Bob Menendez should be going to frickin' jail. I don't know a Democrat anywhere that we're not celebrating Menendez getting convicted. Looking forward to the man going to prison. But here comes, here comes the Supreme Court. You know, the guy, they found gold bars, cash. His wife got a Mercedes given to her. And the Supreme Court just made it all legal. This is insane. This is insane, folks. Thanks for the support, Jersey Isle. I appreciate you, man. $19.99. Thank you for all your information. You make this Jersey old lady living in Texas feel hope. Man, I'm telling you, we're not the same people. But what is not going to happen is Bob Menendez is not going to be running as a Democrat ever again. We're going to run a Democrat in that seat, and he's going to win, and Bob Menendez will be gone. But damn sure not because of the Republicans. The Republican Supreme Court just may have just kept him out of jail. Peter Campbell, thank you for the support, man. I really appreciate you. The injustices on SCOTUS made their own bribery. Yeah, they did. What I want to end you with is this. There's going to be a story breaking in the next couple of days. Joe Biden is going after the Supreme Court. He's pushing for legislation for term limits. And he's pushing for legislation that has oversight with teeth. Right now, the Republican Supreme Court has been on a massive power grab with no ethics whatsoever. I mean, just open bribery, people's spouses making cash on the side. Thank you for the support. I appreciate the support. I really do. Trips, you've seen it all. You know, it just came out. Clarence Thomas took one of his yacht trips was to Russia, where he went and stayed at one of Putin's palaces. Joe's going after the Supreme Court. He's pushing term limits. And he's pushing an ethics reform bill that has teeth. We're not the same, folks. We're not the same. If you love your country, there's only one way to vote. Vote blue. You know, people are really wringing their hands. They're like, man, this 2025, and they're scared. They're scared. Folks, you should be. You should be. We've got a billionaire. We're going to talk about this in the next show. We've got a billionaire cabal of these right-wingers, billionaires that fancy themselves pastors, have formed together, have coalesced into a group, Ziklag. And what they're doing is they're attacking your voter registration all over the country. They're pushing Republicans in power to make it as difficult as possible for you to vote. The distribution of voting machines. I promise you, as a Democrat, your wait in line will be longer than the Republicans in the Republican districts. Republicans will sail through. You know, I live in a very red area of the state. I have never had to wait to vote. Since I've moved here, I have never had to wait to vote because I live in a very rural, very red area. I literally walk in, hand over my ID, they hand me a ballot, and I walk over to an open machine and vote. Democrats will be forced to wait. They will challenge your voter registrations. They'll challenge ballots that are legitimate. This cabal of Republican right-wingers are pushing radical Christian nationalism, and they're going after your vote. We're going to talk about that in the next show, but that's what I have for you today, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support. You keep the lights on around here. I really appreciate you. And thank you for being patient. This is Texas. I have no 5G connection. Gone. Not come back yet. I'm running on 4G. Texas. Republicans. 25 years of Republican rule. That's what you get. I love you folks. This is Old Texas Paul. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.